The man got an arsenal, bring you up to speed with what you need. He's a local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Shit got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday evening. It is the 8th day of November, 2021. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you are in the midst of the experience we like to call Real Talk Memphis. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your humble host, Chip Washington. Very happy to have you with us. Gang is all here. We are fired up and ready to go. It's like pitch dark. It's 6 o'clock, and I don't know, a lot of folks don't like this daylight savings time deal, and I think at some point they're going to eliminate all of this. But yeah, it's dark, so take a little extra caution out there and be careful on your byways and highways of travel this evening. We have a pretty good show for you tonight. Of course, we always think we have a good show, but before we get into all of that, you ask this each and every week, and I'm happy to explain it to you. How do I get this fine piece of radio broadcasting from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time on this fine radio station? Well, you can do it several ways. First, on this fine radio station, which is WYXR 91.7 on your FM dial. We're on live right now. You can also go to the website, WYXR.org, or you can go to the TuneIn app, TUNEIN, put WYXR in the search, hit play, and you'll catch us. And as we are a podcast, the show will be posted sometime tomorrow afternoon, so you can always find us. No excuse. This is an excuse-free radio show, and you can find it wherever you get your podcast. So since we last communicated a week or so ago, Lola is back with us. Last week she was working, so nice to see you. So before we get into the big show, pull your mask down and tell people what they need to do every week to get this show. See, there you go. So I know you all heard that. So I'll have her do it a little bit later on in the broadcast. But that's how you find us, and we are on right now. And if you can see us on my page, we should have all the bugs and kinks worked out from last week. And, shout at your boy. Say hello. Say, hey, what's up? So it's always good to have you in the place. This, of course, is the time of the broadcast before we get into all the hard stuff and all the details, where we say to you, we celebrate you, actually, and our celebration of your birthdays, your anniversaries, of your special occasions. But we can't do that. Well, first of all, Jack's not sitting down, so I can't do that. But before I say, hit it, Jack.
Happy birthday!
All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If it is your birthday or you just celebrated a birthday, happy. Hope you had a great weekend. And I hope you had a great birthday on this Monday. Happy birthdays go out to my friend Nancy Lucchese. She is celebrating a birthday today. Nancy, happy birthday to you. Jack, bring it down just a little bit for me. Trina Thomas Macklin is celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Trina. Happy birthday to Reginald Pruitt, to Caroline Woodruff. Happy birthday, Mr. Ricky Jackson, Mr. Dennis Colburn, Miss Gloria Worthy. Happy birthday go out to Korea Starks. Brenda Solomon, happy birthday to you. Melanie Rogers, celebrating a birthday today. Vanessa V.V. Miller, it is your birthday. Tim Shelton, happy birthday to you. And also, I was given a birthday from DJ Lola. Freddie Robinson, happy birthday to you, my man, wherever you are and whatever it is you are doing to celebrate on this day. And I want to go back one. Big Frank Gilbert Jr. Big Frank used to work in radio. He's now working at Rust College. Yesterday was his birthday. So happy birthday to each and every one of you. I hope we can do it the same time, the same way again next year. Hope you enjoyed your time. Hope you're enjoying your birthday and all the celebrations that go along with that. Thank you, Jack. Now we, as we generally do this time of the show, get into some news and notes. And by the way, many of you remember the very tragic day in Collierville, September 23rd, the mass shooting at the Kroger store. Well, the Collierville Kroger store is set to reopen day after tomorrow, Wednesday, November 10th, per the mayor and store officials. Of course, that shooting on September 23rd wounded 15 people, and it killed actually a beautiful soul out there. So they're going to reopen the store. They've been working hard to get things kind of back up and operational out there. And on Wednesday, they are supposed to reopen the store. We were talking a few minutes ago about the Astro World concert in Houston, Texas, hosted by Travis Scott. Of course, on Friday evening, that turned tragic when 8 people who were attending the concert were crushed and killed as people rushed the stage. And I was talking to Nicole and all of them here, and Lola and Jack, and saying that, obviously this is an event that's happened the last few years and there's been no issues. But, of course, when you have 50,000 people crammed into a big parking lot, at a concert like this, and, listening to that type of music, get all hyped up and everything. No reason necessarily for the rush to the stage or the push to the stage that unfortunately caused the lives of those 8 individuals. But Travis Scott did say that he was going to pay for the funerals of the 8 victims of this tragic accident. And they're telling me here that he's also going to refund all of the tickets. For all those folks who bought tickets out there, he's going to refund their tickets. So that's a very, very sad situation. Now, you and I both know that this is this is a lawsuit that's already starting. People are already talking about filing lawsuits against him, against the promoters of the concert, against Travis Scott himself. Law enforcement authorities were concerned about it beforehand in terms of the safety issues. So it's just a very, very, very sad and tragic situation. I think the youngest victim was 14 years of age, and the oldest was 24. So, yeah, that's a very, very, very tough situation. Did you hear about what happened at a church in Nashville yesterday morning? A Nashville pastor is being called a hero. He stopped a guy who pulled a gun during service on Sunday. This was at the Nashville Light Mission Pentecostal Church in Nashville. No shots were fired. Nobody was hurt. But there were some very shaken up church members. The guy was sitting in the front row, and he decided to walk up to the pulpit. He started waving a gun facing the congregation. And it was at that point that the pastor jumped him, tackled him, and other members of the congregation were able to jump on him and hold him until police arrived. Nobody was hurt. The man is charged with 15 counts of felony aggravated assault. It's no joke when we talk about the fact that you need to watch yourself at all times. You need to guard yourself at all times these days because, unfortunately, we just don't know who's running around out here and who's doing what. I mean, really, seriously. In other news, many of you know, and many of you are aware that the FDA has approved COVID shots for children ages 5 through 11. Now, those doses are smaller doses than the ones that the older folks and the adults are getting. Locally, for more information on where you can go to get your child vaccinated, go to vaccines.gov, put in your zip code, and locations of where you can get those shots will pop up, and you can get that taken care of. I know the Shelby County Health Department was giving us some shots last week, and they still are. There's always this pre-rush going on before, things start to calm down again. Numbers across the country are going down. Deaths are going down. Cases are going down. And I have a guy that I hadn't talked to in a while. I thought I would call him last week and get him back, Dr. Steve Threlkeld from Baptist. He's going to talk to us about all things COVID, the HPV virus, flu shots, the actions of the Tennessee legislature in respect to COVID-19, discipline, restrictions, mandates, the whole 9 yards. So it should be a really interesting conversation with him in just a few minutes. Also, by the way, there are 47 days until Christmas, which means that Jack, Lola, and Nicole have about 47 days to figure out just what kind of present they're going to get the humble host of this radio program. So you guys have plenty of time. Some good shopping days available out there. So, just to kind of think about it. I didn't get a rise from any of them. See, all of them. Everybody in this room is dead quiet and looking at phones. Lola's giving me like that eye. So is Nicole. So anyway, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. But we'll talk about it later. This Thursday is Veterans Day. And on a serious note, this when we pay honor to all of those who paid the sacrifice, ultimate sacrifice, or even current service personnel who are fighting for the course of history, for the course of freedom in this country. That still continues even today. So we will take pause and honor all of those veterans and current service members on Veterans Day, which is a holiday, and it is this Thursday. Okay, so this weekend, like every weekend, Netflix debuted another movie, and this was a black Western. It was called The Harder They Fall, and it starred Idris Elba. What's the girl's name? Regina King and Lakeith Stanfield, and a few other folks this weekend. I did happen to see the movie. I was listening to radio this morning. A lot of folks didn't think it was very much of anything, to be honest with you. They didn't think it was, they was like, Lola said she has to watch it again to really determine that. I thought it was so at best. Black Western, every time somebody got shot, that those movies that you say the old time Westerns, when they shoot them, the blood like spurts like 20 miles outside them as soon as they get hit, that kind of thing, or they get hit with a bullet and they fly 10 feet. It was kind of one of those deals. So anyway, check the movie out. Let me know what you think. Form your own opinion, and we'll go from there. Finally, of course, another big news, and this is a sports story. Many of you heard about Aaron Rodgers, the perennial All-Pro quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, who had tested for COVID. Well, it turns out that he did not and has not, to this point, from what I'm to understand, gotten a COVID vaccine shot. He said that he did earlier when they asked him sometime in August. He said he was inoculated. It's sort of this play on words. And ever since then, he's been getting, just laid out by NFL veterans, alike, players alike right now about the irresponsibility. And I heard this stat today that 150,000 people since September have died of COVID. Those people were unvaccinated. That's a lot of people in a very short period of time. And since the offset of COVID in 2020, over 750,000 people have died worldwide of COVID. No, I think that's in this country, I think alone. But Dr. Steve will talk to us about that in just a few minutes. So again, what say you about all this? I mean, he didn't take a shot, and he lost some sponsorship, but I think State Farm has kept him on, and a lot of other folks. So this is still, a raging controversy. Should I, shouldn't I, this and that. I'm going to say get your vaccination, and I'm also going to say get a flu shot. Having said that, we're going to have a good show tonight. We're going to have a couple of good guests. Dr. Steve Threlkeld will join me in a couple of minutes here to talk about COVID and a lot of other things. We're also going to have a specialist to talk with us. This is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, in case you didn't know that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the disease, and we're also going to talk about some treatment measures that will maybe help to diagnose the fact that you might have it early, and that could lead to some early treatment. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. And as we get into the latter parts of the year, we are also concerned about scams, which are very big during the holiday season, and these folks are getting real creative. So in the second half hour of the show, I'm going to have Daniel Irwin. He is the communications director of the Better Business Bureau of the Mid-South, and he's going to talk to us about what you should watch out for, some of the newer scams, and how you can keep yourself from being a victim. We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to kick things off with Dr. Steve Threlkeld. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. First break, right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Did you know the Mid-South has one of the highest lung cancer rates in the country? That's why our community health partners are working together to fight the disease. Head over to Crosstown Concourse on November 18th for free music, food, and fun. Bring your family and friends to support our community and promote lung health. That's November 18th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Crosstown Concourse. To learn more, visit breathebetter.care. That's breathebetter.care. We'll see you there.
The Brooks is open in Overton Park, home to Memphis art collection since 1916. The Memphis Brooks Museum of Art holds the largest collection of world art in the region, with more than 10,000 works spanning 5,000 years of art and cultures. Remember, every Wednesday is free and open until 8 p.m. They are a proud sponsor of WYXR. For more information about the museum and their exhibitions, visit brooksmuseum.org. You belong at the Brooks. The Dillard family of companies, including Dillard Door and Security, Tri-State Glass, and Trace Electric, are proud sponsors of WYXR. For the past 75 years, the Dillard companies have provided products that secure Memphis. From installing the iconic gates at Graceland to the Memphis Tigers Liberty Bowl locker room, Dillard protects what matters to Memphians like you. For more information, visit dillarddoor.com.
You've been taking my love for granted. Girl, I'm about to change.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday, November 8th. It's your humble host, Chip Washington, with you. Glad you're along for the ride on this first day where it gets dark early on Real Talk Memphis. Now, you know, we don't talk about it as much as we did, but COVID is still with us, although things are getting better in various metrics and various categories. And I felt like it was time for me to reach out to my friend, a man who many of us know and see. He's done updates for God knows how long about COVID-19 and various other topics of conversation. He is Dr. Steve Threlkeld, infectious disease specialist from the Baptist Medical Group. Dr. Steve, welcome back to Real Talk.
Thanks, Chip. Good to be with you. Back to a little better news these days, huh?
Absolutely. That's especially since the last time we talked. And I want to get your gauge on a few things. So right now, as you said, things are starting to trend downward in every category. Of course, we do have vaccines now for the young ones. We'll get into that in just a minute. But what's your take on where things stand on the COVID front right now?
Well, given the fact that we're 5 million deaths into it worldwide, as you mentioned, 750,000, 750,000 deaths just in the U.S., obviously it's been a rough go, but those numbers are down significantly. I always go by hospitalizations and those numbers as being the most reproducible kind of number. And we've gone from the max of 172 at my hospital down to 10, back to 152. And now we're back to about 15 or so. So we're back. We can see the end from here, we hope. We saw it before, but at least there's no new variant that's immediately knocking on our door right now.
So how concerned are you about a possible, you hear, experts, including yourself and folks all over the country, talking about the fact that we could see a rise in cases because we're getting into that holiday travel season and, weather's cooling down, folks all getting together. How concerned are you that we could see, I don't know if surge is a good word, but how would you categorize it?
Yeah, well, I think the good news is that this time around, we have a lot bigger hedge around us of immunity, both from natural infection and thankfully from the vaccine. It's always been a race. It's a race to the end where the end is probably an endemic virus that's more of a nuisance than a deadly sort of threat. And we get there faster by vaccinating everybody we can, both here and worldwide, and using some common sense behaviors and not just tempting transmission of the virus by higher behaviors. And the virus does its thing by mutating, making changes, mistakes, if you will, and making it potentially more resistant to our immunity. And the faster we do our job, the harder it is for the virus to do its job. And we win that race getting to that more nuisance situation faster. And that's, after all, how we prevent unnecessary deaths.
How big a deal is it to you that we are now seeing shots going into the arms of the 5 to 11-year-old population?
Yeah, it's a big deal on a couple of counts. You look worldwide and you see right now there's a leveling off of the worldwide decrease in cases. So there's a little bit of pause out there. And you mentioned before, we're going into the winter season for us. That's a potential negative. We can't ignore that. So to have this entire large population of millions of kids now, protected themselves, and they were unprotected before, and then also it keeps them from spreading it throughout the family. And pretty good data recently shows that they can spread it just like adults can. There was some concern about it at first that they might not be able to spread it as much, or some hope. Turns out they can, and that's going to protect a lot of grandparents who can't resist hugging their grandchild at home. And those grandparents might be at a lot more risk for more severe infection, their immune system waning, and therefore deaths from this virus. I think it's going to have a twofold really good effect for us.
Speaking with Dr. Steve Threlkeld, infectious disease specialist from the Baptist Hospital Medical Group. And, in talking about that, and of course, everybody's been waiting for this, especially for the littlest ones. Now, when we first started giving shots to young people, the 15 and up, to 12 and up, 15 and up, 18 and up, we saw an initial surge there, but as things level off, I don't think, did we ever get above 30% in any of those particular age categories?
I'm not sure that we did. It unfortunately is kind of a reproduction of what happened in adults. But the people that wanted them ran out to get them, couldn't get them fast enough. Right. But very quickly, it kind of sagged into a situation where folks just stopped getting them. And it's getting harder and harder to convince people with the facts these days. Unfortunately, the politics and other issues just have people dug into their positions. I think that the kids, certainly, they don't get as sick as adults. There's no question about that. But when you quote things like myocarditis, there's a very small risk of getting that sort of thing with vaccines. But guess what? The risk is a lot higher when you get the virus of getting that same myocarditis. So people don't stop and realize that not taking door number one necessarily throws you through door number two, which is a lot more dangerous. And so that's really the problem, I think, that we see.
So as we trudge forward here in all of this, and you talked about it, and a lot of folks have been talking about it, going from a pandemic to an endemic, which means it's kind of going to be like an annual thing, maybe a yearly thing or whatever. And you said that we don't see any viruses or any new mutations, on the rise right now. So, I mean, is it feasible to say that? I mean, the pandemic could end maybe sometime in early 2022, or is that still a wait and see proposition in your mind?
I think it's more likely that we're going to get sort of a stair step downward in the severity of these, maybe not waves anymore. But as long as this virus has as much going on worldwide in cases and transmission, you might see new variants develop. We got down this low before, so it's very difficult at this point to underestimate this virus. But I'm certainly optimistic at the moment. We don't see anything that should prevent us from gradually improving, and those waves, if you will get smaller and smaller, and we hope farther apart and to where we get to that endpoint that we're hoping for.
So let's shift gears and talk about the flu season. We didn't have one last year pretty much because everybody was masked up and we were dealing with, outrageous COVID numbers and things like that. And I can't remember the respiratory, illness that affects the young people.
Respiratory syncytial virus. It kind of came out of key and really hit a lot of kids early on.
Exactly. So where are we in terms of what you're seeing so far during this flu season that we're in?
Well, so far we're lucky again. I mean, at some point it's probably going to kick back in and pick up. Thankfully, our indicator is what happens in the winter before us, which is the southern hemisphere, the Australias of the world, South America, and they've not seen any big uptick yet either. As I say, at some point it's going to kick in and cause us a problem, maybe a big problem because it's had some time off, and so has our relative immunity had a time off. But so far we're still fortunate. I think still people are being a little more careful than they normally are. But 30,000 people die on average in the U.S. every year of the flu. So we've kind of deemed that okay, and we deal with that. But it is an important illness, and we hope that we'll continue to kind of keep that at bay and be smart with our infection control behaviors, if not masking and so forth. Hopefully those can go away soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's we hadn't heard a lot of conversation about the flu again, this year. And I know last time you and I were talking about this before we got to this point, you were saying, man, we need to watch out because we didn't have one last year, and it could be bad this year. But so far, everything just seems to be just quiet. And I don't know. I have this kind of nervous, calm before the storm kind of feeling, and I'm predicting a storm. But I think sometimes you use the word complacency a few minutes ago, and I mean, and I guess the numbers make it rather difficult to convince people not to be complacent or get complacent. Am I right in that?
Well, every time it comes down, we think it's over. But again, we've seen this movie before, and then we tuned back to really almost as bad as it was before, even in individual hospitals. And so, it's very hard to underestimate this virus. It's really come back at us before, and there's still a lot of replication worldwide. And we're going into the winter months, like you say. If we were to have that recrudescence of flu to equal the average year, that's gonna synergistically bottle up the healthcare system because it'll be hard to tell the difference between flu and COVID. There'll be a lot of testing. There'll be a lot of elderly people getting sick from that, just like they do every year. So there's still some things that are very much on our radar screen that we would be really not very wise not to think about and not to plan for. But we hope that it won't be any sort of big surge back of the flu. But certainly that is out there as a possibility.
Have you heard anything? Because I was listening this morning to the national news, and they were talking about over in, I don't know if it's England or Britain or wherever it is. There are some places over in Europe where the numbers, they plateaued and then they kind of decreased a bit. And now numbers are going back up again in terms of COVID. Am I correct in what I heard or what think I heard?
Yeah, that's right, particularly in Germany of late, and then spreading around Europe too. So the numbers have gone up. I think you can almost see a little of the hint of that in Colorado recently here, even in the U.S. There are still plenty of people who are unvaccinated, unprotected, and can get sick. Mm-hmm. I mean, 62% of people in Colorado are vaccinated fully. That's better than the national average, but 38% are not. And that's still plenty of people to get sick and to get hospitalized and to die and to keep this thing going. So we've got to really stamp it out much more completely than we ever thought about in the beginning. So there are just a lot of people out there left to get sick, and there'll be a few people whose immunity is waning from the infection and the vaccine, and they'll get sick somewhat too, obviously much less. If you look at hospitalizations, they're almost all in people who are unvaccinated and unprotected. But yeah, we're seeing that leveling off of the improvement of infection numbers across Europe. And that coupled with the winter coming up there and here, certainly we would be foolish not to be careful about that and to keep our eyes open.
Before I let you go, give our listeners some do's and don'ts and some pointers and some things just to kind of be aware of. I mean, I know folks tend to let their guard down when things seem to get better, but I don't think we're over the hump quite yet. But give our listeners some things that they need to think about going into the winter months.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is just get vaccinated. I mean, we've got something that's so effective, it's extraordinary. It's one of the wonders of modern medical science. So get vaccinated. Even if you've been infected before, it will cut down your risk of getting a milder infection, and therefore your ability to transmit it to somebody else by 2 to 3-fold. And that's a big deal. So get vaccinated first. And otherwise, if you're in a crowded indoor setting, just be careful not to be around as many people who are unvaccinated. Be careful in the holidays. I still see a lot of cases brought in by an unvaccinated aunt or uncle visiting town, and then it spreads through the people who are at risk in the family, immunosuppressed people, elderly people. So just be careful who you're around up close without masks and protection. If you are vaccinated in the family, enjoy the holiday. It should be okay, without masks for vaccinated people in that sort of family group. But be careful about being in really crowded places, poor airflow, all the things we've always thought about. It's less important now, but it's not completely gone. As you said, I think that's very important, just to keep our eyes open and not just let this virus keep on replicating at numbers that cause us problems.
Dr. Steve Threlkeld, you are my go-to on all things COVID. Listen, my friend, you stay up, stay safe, and if I don't talk to you beforehand, have a very happy holiday season, and I look to talk to you again in 2022.
You too, Chip. Thanks, bud.
Take care, man. Dr. Steve Threlkeld, ladies and gentlemen, giving us some wise words, and I hope that some of you paid attention and listened, because he gave some very sound advice. We're not out of the woods yet. Things are getting better. If you want to keep them getting better, get vaccinated. That's all. It's a simple thing. Get vaccinated and move forward. We're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to shift gears. This is National Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and I am going to have a specialist on board who is going to talk to us about that and about some potential treatment programs through some research that could help detect lung disease in you and maybe a member of your family. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Take our second break. We're back after this.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The stuff that WYXR brings to the airwaves is already playing in the parking lots and basements where the next generation's journey is just getting started. And we can't imagine building the brands we do without the role music played in our lives. No matter what kind of art you make, music is what sets you on your path. Loaded for Bear is proud to support WYXR and community radio everywhere.
Brought to you by Crosstown Concourse, offering brand new musical experiences like concerts, live score film screenings, record release parties, weekly music pop-ups, and so much more. For more information, visit crosstownconcourse.com/visit.
Did you know the Mid-South has one of the highest lung cancer rates in the country? That's why our community health partners are working together to fight the disease. Head over to Crosstown Concourse on November 18th for free music, food, and fun. Bring your family and friends to support our community and promote lung health. That's November 18th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Crosstown Concourse. To learn more, visit breathebetter.care. That's breathebetter.care. We'll see you there.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast on this Monday. You are in the midst of Real Talk Memphis. Very happy to have you with us, and very happy to have my next guest with us this evening. As I said before the break, this is National Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and there are many, many people, thousands and thousands, who have been affected by lung cancer and have died by lung cancer. And we're going to talk a little bit about all of that with my next guest. He is Dr. Anurag Mehrotra. Mehrotra, Dr. Mehrotra. I'm sorry. I was close. I was trying. I really was trying. Dr. Mehrotra. But thank you, Dr. Mehrotra, for being with us. I really appreciate you, especially coming in at the last minute. But I'm really happy to have you on Real Talk tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me over. So,
listen, you and I were talking, and you are a lung. You're a pulmonologist. Am I correct? Is that your
So I'm an interventional pulmonologist.
Okay.
So I'm a pulmonologist who specializes in bronchoscopy and early detection of lung cancer, taking care of spots in the lung, such as lung nodules.
Okay.
And Chip, the biggest thing about lung cancer is the biggest difference that we make is when we detect it early.
Okay. So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
And the way to detect it early is the screening program.
Okay.
Which entails that anybody aged between 50 and 80 who is either a current smoker or has smoked significantly get a CT scan. And this is a low-dose CT scan to detect spots in the lung. And the goal here is to find out if that spot is early lung cancer and to nip it in the bud.
Dr. Mehrotra, what are the statistics annually in terms of not only those who are diagnosed with lung cancer, but those who die of lung cancer on a yearly basis?
So the lung cancer is the leading cause of death in terms of cancers. There's about 250,000 Americans who are going to be diagnosed with lung cancer this year.
Wow.
There's about 14 million people in our country who are eligible for lung cancer screening. Mm-hmm. And a very small percent, about 4% of that is actually getting screened. Now, screening is very simple. It is a low-dose CAT scan, just to make sure, just like people get colonoscopies for colon cancer screening and mammograms for breast cancer screening. This is all, they get lung cancer screening.
Why the hesitancy, doctor? Why are people, that's a very, very, very low percentage. Why in your expertise, why the hesitancy for something so deadly and so serious?
So I think it is about awareness, and other than awareness, it is about getting things done. It's like taking care. It's one of those things that you have to get done annually. Mm-hmm. And the good news is we have a program, the lung nodule program, and through the Baptist Cancer Center, that is tailor-made for this. You get your screening scan. If there is a spot in the lung, we get to the bottom of it, and we can get to the bottom of it in a minimally invasive manner. We actually use the CAT scan and put it on a computer and use computer-guided navigation to spot in the lung with no scars to find out what kind of disease process it is.
In reference to the screening program that you just talked about, that you brought here, how, in terms of what you see, and when people, I guess, let me back up, when people come in to get screened or maybe have some inkling that something might be wrong, are there symptoms? Are there outward symptoms? Are there? I mean, do you feel a certain way when there may be an issue, with your lungs in terms of a cancerous situation?
No. So screening, lung cancer is symptomatic, which means having symptoms only when it's when it is at a higher stage.
Right.
Screening is typically for people who have no symptoms. So they're not even having a cough, no chest pains, no phlegm. They're absolutely normal people who have smoked cigarettes or are currently smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So having symptoms in lung cancer usually that happens when it's late. So I would encourage talking to your primary care physician if you're an active smoker in that age range or have smoked previously, to see if you're eligible for the screening program.
Now you say the screening age starts at 50. Did you
50? It starts at the age of 50.
Uh-huh.
It's for any current smoker or anybody who has smoked 20 pack years history of smoking. So what does that mean? A pack of cigarettes over 20 years, and somebody who has not quit smoking in the last 15 years. So
wow, I guess, when I was listening to you talk about that, and you said it's almost this asymptomatic thing. Yeah, I mean, you don't know that you have it. I mean, why would you go even if you're a smoker? I feel good. I don't have any issues or whatever. But when they do develop symptoms or they notice symptoms, and by that time, is it really too late in terms of a course of treatment for that, or how does it go from that point?
So even at that point, we do a CT scan. We find that we ascertain what is exactly causing symptoms, and then we get to diagnosis and staging. So to diagnose and stage, we use electromagnetic navigation bronchoscopy. So we take all the CT scan data, upload it into a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once we upload it into the computer, using a bronchoscope, we navigate to the spot, which is deep in the lung, and we get biopsies from the spot. And we also to sample the lymph nodes in the chest to determine the stage of the disease.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it helps decide what kind of treatment the patient may qualify for. And there is increasingly a number of options available. So I don't want to say that if you're having symptoms, it's always late stage. You don't know what are you having symptoms for. You need evaluation.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, yeah, that would be a big part of it. But I guess it's encouraging to know that, as medical technology continues to advance, beyond levels of my comprehension, that even if you are symptomatic and it looks like, it could be, a pretty good case of this, that's still not over, that there are still some options available in terms of treatment, according to what I just heard you say.
Absolutely. Every situation is different and requires evaluation. There is increasingly more and more data. There is more and more targeted therapy to mutations. There's immunotherapy. So obviously there is options available.
Are there, because this always bothers me just about some of the various cancers that invade particular parts of the body. Have you seen cases of lung cancer with people who have not smoked, who have just for some genetic reason or heredity or some? I mean, is that even a feasible thing I just said in terms of that? I mean, have you seen cases like that or heard of cases like that?
Absolutely. Lung cancer occurs in non-smokers, and it can occur in patients with family histories. It can occur sporadically with no history. So smoking is one of the most well-studied factors, but it can occur with even no no risk factor.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I know before I let you go, we don't necessarily hear a lot about lung cancer. I mean, everybody's clearly aware that lung cancer is a pretty tough situation, and it kills lots of people, as you gave us the numbers earlier. But it's not one that you really hear a lot about. And that's why I think it's kind of important to put the spotlight on the fact that this is a situation that does not necessarily have to mean a death sentence, particularly in terms of the programs that you were talking about, in terms of trying to come up with early detection for preventative care.
Absolutely. The biggest difference we can make for lung cancer is early detection that decreases mortality by almost 20% by just getting a single scan a year. Of course, smoking cessation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely that. Dr. Anurag Mehrotra, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come and speak to our audience tonight. Treasure the work that you do on a daily basis to try to keep us upright, healthy, and particularly those who are dealing with issues pertaining to lung cancer. Thank you for being a guest on my show tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I
appreciate that. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you were paying attention. Lung cancer, like so many other cancers, can be detected even when you have never smoked. But you may be symptomatic. So if you feel like that's something that you need to do, particularly past the age of 50, that is something that you definitely need to get checked. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about scams big time. It's the holiday season, and I have someone from the Better Business Bureau that's going to break it all down for us. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Bill's Kiln, now on Mondays at midnight. WYXR 91.7 FM, Memphis.
I'm listening.
There's really nothing better than a box of records, not even a bottle of beer. Drinks are gone in a matter of minutes, but vinyl just won't disappear.
Hi there, this is Zach Ives. My show, A Box of Records, plays every Tuesday night, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., right here on WYXR 91.7 FM, Memphis, Tennessee.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday, headed for third and rounding home. We are in the middle of what I would call the season where folks like to take advantage of other folks. We're getting into the holiday season. Many of you are turning towards thoughts of shopping and the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas. But this is a big, big time of year for the scam artists who spend all of their time, waking hours, trying to figure out how to take what you have worked so hard to earn. And so I thought it would be a good time, a good opportunity to talk a little bit about some of these scams. And my next guest is quite capable of doing just that. He is Daniel Irwin. He is the Director of PR and Outreach for the Better Business Bureau of the Mid-South. And Daniel, thanks for coming to Real Talk, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Listen, so, you and I were talking offline last week about all of this. And of course, we see scams, all year long. And folks are getting very creative and really scaring the heck out of a lot of people out here. So I wanted to get you on to talk a little bit about, what you guys see and what you deal with on a daily basis, some things that maybe are coming up this particular year. I know you had mentioned that folks need to be aware of. So talk to us about, how these folks are out here trying to take what we have.
Right. Well, they're always trying to get your money, that's for sure, and your personal information. But we're already starting to see a major uptick in online shopping scams, getting ready for the holiday season. We were expecting it, but we're starting to see an uptick. And this year, with all the labor shortages and the supply chain issues, more and more people are going to be shopping online, which means more and more people are going to lose money to scams.
Wow, that is, you know what? That right there is probably one of the biggest keys. You said we see stories every day now about the supply chain issues in this country.
Right.
And you're right. Everybody is turning, whether it is because of that and because of availability or just because of even the convenience of shopping online, that is becoming a very big deal. So Daniel, run it down for us. Talk to us about maybe some of the things that the folks are trying to do and some of the things that we need to, as consumers, watch out for.
Right. So scammers watch the news just like you or me. They stay up on current events and they use any edge they can to take your money. So I talked about online shopping. We see all sorts of things. The main thing to look out for, though, just fake websites, right? Fake websites that don't have any intention of ever following through. And when you purchase something from a fake website, it's two-pronged, right? Not only do you lose your money, but you also lose your personal information.
Right.
Because many times when you fill out, when you buy something online, you have to, you put in your shipping address, you put in a lot of personal information.
Right.
So not only do they have your money, but they also have some personal information that they could use to steal your identity. So again, it's a double-edged sword. You've lost money, but you also have opened yourself up to be a risk for identity theft.
So, I mean, how do you know? We were talking about it. Some of these folks, and I've seen, I get emails like everybody else does, and everybody else does. We get all these emails, and folks are saying, well, we wanted to update your personal information. We need you to, give us this, or we need to get you to give us that. How do you know? Some of these sites are so realistic. I mean, they use watermark, they use the logos from some of these places. How do you know? What are some of the telltale signs?
It can be really hard. Yeah, it can be super hard. Like you said, they rip off logos from real things. We see a lot of fake websites with high-end items, right? Things like high-end purses, high-end shoes like Jordans. Anytime you see a site and it looks a little funny and the prices don't look right? It's a hard to get item, and all of a sudden everywhere else is selling it for $300, but you can get it for $110 at this one site. And it looks a little suspicious because there's some misspellings or logo doesn't look right. Like that's a telltale sign that it's going to be a fake website. The number one thing really that you can do is just trust your instincts, right? If something looks too good to be true, or a price is too good to be true, or something looks a little off, or a word is misspelled, or there's punctuation in the wrong place, we call that scammer grammar, right? And that's a telltale sign that this site doesn't originate in the United States. That's something you want to stay far away from.
Talking with Daniel Irwin, he is the Director of Public Relations and Outreach for the Better Business Bureau of the Mid-South. One of the things that I've noticed, too, is the from to. You'll get something from a company, but the to is not your name. It's not your name. It's some weird kind of a thing. And I think that's another thing that people need to check as well, the address situation information. Am I correct in that?
You are correct. Yeah. And like I said, these scams, they're just so varied, right? There's so many different versions of them. But yeah, you need to double check that for sure. Sometimes you'll start to get packages that aren't even yours, right? Sometimes someone is just, stolen your information, or you just all of a sudden start receiving packages at your address that aren't in your name. There are lots and lots of variations of the scams.
What is the loss per year? I mean, Daniel, we're talking, thousands and thousands of dollars, and a lot of the hardest hit targets. I remember when I was a reporter in television news, I did stories on scams, lots of times where these poor innocent seniors, are bilked out of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Talk a little bit about that.
I can tell you right here locally, we have something called a scam tracker, right? Yes. So you can file a scam report on our website at bbb.org/scam tracker. Okay. And locally, so far this year, we've received 475 scam tracker reports on online shopping for a total loss of over $300,000. And that's just local this year, this calendar year, right? And to kind of give you an idea of how prevalent online shopping scams are and how much we expect to see, 35% of all scams that are reported to the Better Business Bureau are online shopping scams. And of those 35%, 75% of those that filed a scam report lost money. So not only are people falling for these fake sites, but they're losing money at a high rate. And when people report it to us, they're not losing $10, they're not losing $20. They're buying high-end items, so they're losing hundreds of dollars at a time.
So when you get these type of reports and people have lost, as you say, hundreds and even thousands of dollars, at that particular point, it's too late. What do you do as an agency when you get these type of calls reporting these type of massive losses economically?
Right. So what we do is we share our data with law enforcement. We share our data with several government agencies, but we also can pinpoint exactly where the scams are going. So our scam tracker is like an interactive heat map that shows real-time data in your own words of what scams are going on in your area. And you can search by keyword, you can search by zip code, so you can see what others are reporting. So we take that data and that's how we try to get the word out about scams that are going on. So for instance, if you're looking on a website and you heard from a friend that this site's got some item that you really want,
right,
but you've never shopped at it before,
right?
And you something doesn't feel right, you're on the site and you're like, I don't know about this. This looks a little weird. Well, you can go on our scam tracker, you can search, you can see if anybody else has been taken on that site, or if that's a site that's been reported on our scam tracker. And hopefully, if you do that, and it'll save you a lot of heartache and a lot of money.
Does it make your job exponentially harder when, as you mentioned at the outset, folks are doing a lot more shopping online because of the convenience of it all? But then again, scammers are watching that and they realize that folks are doing this because, they don't want to get out and deal with the crowds and everything else. Does it make your job harder as an agency that tries to prevent these type of things from happening?
Yeah, it does make it harder, but if it wasn't online shopping, it'd be something else, right?
Sure.
So they'd still be scamming you. They'd just be doing it a different way. So it does make it harder because there are so many different websites out there. But if it wasn't online shopping, it'd be a rental scam, or it'd be an employment scam, or it'd be an imposter scam, or one of the thousands of other scams out there. So again, they're always going to be scamming you and trying to do something. But if it wasn't this, it'd be something else. But it does make it difficult. You are correct.
Before I let you go, please give folks out there information on if they even suspect or they have questions about particular scams, or just questions about what they need to do and how they need to do it. How can we get a hold of you fine folks at the BBB?
Right. So the Better Business Bureau is staffed all day long. We have several phone lines and people that are very experienced with a wealth of knowledge. Our call center takes calls all day long. If you just want to check something out, or if something doesn't seem right, or you just want to verify something, please give us a call. Our number is 901-759-1300. And again, that's 901-759-1300. You can ask for me directly if you'd like. My name is Daniel. The easiest way for you, though, is to probably go to our website, bbb.org/scam tracker. And again, at that website, you can search something, you can check something out to see if it's a scam, or you can report a scam there as well.
Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on and dropping the knowledge and sharing some very valuable information. And, of course, any of you out there who have just the slightest hint of something not sounding right, contact the BBB of the Mid-South. Daniel Irwin, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on the show. I'm sure we'll have you back down the road. But in the meantime and between time, have a safe holiday season, and I look to talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, man. You too. Take care. So, listen, that was a great way to wrap this thing up tonight. And as Jack plays us out, this is the time of year, unfortunately, where you find folks that take advantage of other folks. And, you always heard this saying, don't be a victim. But if you have if your instincts tell you that something's not quite right, trust your instincts, because it probably means that something's not quite right. Thank you to all my guests, Dr. Threlkeld, Dr. Mehrotra, and just Mehrotra, rather, and of course Daniel from the BBB. If the Lord says so, we'll be back here next week. Same time, same station. Try to do it a little bit better. In the meantime, in between time, please be safe out there, okay? Watch where you are. Watch your surroundings. Make sure you know what's going on around you, because, we live in a world where not everybody can be trusted, and that's just a fact. So for Lola, for Nicole, for Big Jack, I'm a little Chip, your humble host. This is thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. I'm Chip, and we're out.